Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And that's right, the time has finally come for me to review the second season of Monsters at Work. Yes, Season 2 of Monsters at Work. Yeah, it's great to see that we've gotten a second season, and yeah, for me, well, it for sure did not disappoint. I really enjoyed the second season of Monsters at Work. First, a little recap on the first season of Monsters at Work. Well, say what you will, and I'm aware and I get that, I think, like, a good chunk of people, didn't, really get into the first season of Monsters at Work. It got mixed, but from what I can tell, that's not to say that it was god-awful, and let's face it, because this was just the beginning, and, the show had just started. Not to mention, when we realized that the first season was taking place when the first Monsters Incorporated film was still going on. We hadn't gotten to the end of Monsters Incorporated. And when we came to the 10th and final episode of Season 1, well, towards the end of Episode 10, well, because it was happening the same time as the ending / the epilogue to the first Monsters, Inc. film, right as Sully is about to reunite with Boo. So, yeah. And it was hard to tell at first if we could possibly we would get more of Monsters at Work, and let alone, just get more from the Monsters, Inc. franchise. Because, many people had always asked for a Monsters, Inc. sequel, and when we would get another film from the Monsters, Inc. franchise, which of course being Monsters University, but then, fast forward, and when Disney Plus was happening, we got this, and with the first season and so on, yeah. And, well, sure enough, when Season 2 was officially announced, started off with Henry Winkler, because I remember this, and if you guys would know about this too, someone on Twitter asked Henry Winkler if there was going to be a Season 2, if there would be, and Winkler's response was yes. And oh yeah, that was a clear sign, and because that was Henry Winkler himself, and well, because he's one of the main voice cast members, not to mention his character, Fritz, mentioning at the end credits of Episode 10 of Season 1, is there going to be a Season 2? Anybody know if there's going to be a Season 2? And yeah, but then sure enough, we got the announcement that Season 2 was underway, it was happening, and we'd have to wait another year or so until it came out, and sure enough, yeah, the wait was over, and it was worth waiting when Season 2 finally happened. Although, for some strange reason, and yeah, obviously I have to mention this, Season 2, it first came out on Disney Channel, and then it made its way to Disney Plus. I don't know if there's a specific reason to that or not, and if any of you guys would know this too, but don't get me wrong, because I'm just like, why on Disney Channel first? Season 1 went straight directly to Disney Plus, and it was not a problem when Season 1 made its way to Disney Channel, but this time, a switcheroo, the opposite, just why? And I think from what I've heard from a few people on social media what they said about the animation quality, and the difference between the animation quality from Season 1 and 2 with the animation. Well, I mean, since I've of course have watched Season 2, I don't know, the animation doesn't bother me. It doesn't, but anyways. But yeah, I'm glad to have finally gotten around to watch Season 2, and I didn't even watch Season 2 when it first came out on Disney Channel. I decided to wait until Season 2 would make its way to Disney Plus. That way I would binge watch it. Yeah, that's the right way to do so. And for me, of course. And yeah, I really enjoyed Season 2, and, we finally got to see the aftermath and what happens from there on after season 1, and most notably, the first Monsters, Inc. film, after when, at the very end of the movie, Sully reunites with Boo, and what happens next? What happens from there on? Well, with season 2 of Monsters at Work, we find out and see for ourselves. Yeah, so the total episodes of season 2 being 10, like the first season, and yeah, all 10 episodes, they did not disappoint once and for all. So I am, of course, going to go through them, and as you can tell, with my review of Monsters at Work, I'm reviewing season 2, all of season 2, unlike, when I reviewed season 1, it was in parts, but this time, no, it's all in one, and, you know, I'll do my best, you know, and, like, not go into full detail on each episodes, you know, just, I'll do my best to keep it brief and so on, okay? And some things in the episodes that obviously have to be mentioned, but yeah, so with episode 1, A Monstrous Homecoming, description / the story. It's homecoming weekend at Monsters University, and Tyler Tuskman is being celebrated as a former Scare King. Yeah, so the first episode of season 2 was pretty good, and, well, this is where we fully get to see more of Monsters University, and there being a homecoming, the monsters that are, you know, being credited as kings and queens, some of the best, you know, scarers and who graduated and such, Tyler Tuskman being one of them, and, you know, he and, his, you know, Fear Tech, Mifter? Yeah, Mifter buddy. Val, once again being voiced by Mindy Kaling, and Tyler, once again being voiced by Ben Feldman, and to mention the rest of the cast of characters, Mike and Sully, of course, and Billy Crystal and John Goodman coming back to voice them, Fritz, once again being voiced by Henry Winkler, Duncan, once again being voiced by Lucas Neff, and Duncan, he hasn't changed a bit since season 1. He still is the same Duncan in how he treats Tyler. Just, something should come along the way, right? Just, you know, things could be, you know, patched up between Tyler and Duncan. Give me a break. Maybe, hopefully so, but anyways. Cutter, once again, being voiced by Alana Upbeck, if I'm saying her last name right, and Bob Peterson, once again, voicing both Roz and Roz's sister, Rose. And, yeah, because not only do we see Rose, but we do see Roz a handful of times in Season 2. And Celia's back, of course, but this time, Celia is not voiced by Jennifer Tilly, unfortunately. Well, that's because, you know, and seems more than likely because, Jennifer Tilly, you know, probably, like, while Season 2 was in the works and with the voice recordings, she was probably unavailable, you know, because of the Chucky series taking off and exploding. I'm sure she would have wanted to come back, but she just really wasn't able to due to scheduling conflicts. That's my good guess, and maybe more than likely. So, you know, the Chucky series and Monsters at Work happening at the same time, being in development and so on, in the works. You get my point. So Celia, this time in Season 2, and filling in for Jennifer Tilly, is Roxana Ortega, and I've heard her voice as Celia, and she does a pretty good job at doing an impression of Jennifer Tilly and voicing Celia, because she's voiced Celia a couple of times, like, most notably in the video game Disney Speedstorm. Yeah, that, so yeah, she does pretty good as Celia, and she did pretty well for Season 2. Also, Needleman and Smitty, once again returning, and once again being voiced by Stephen Stanton. Christopher Swindle, once again voicing Phlegm, and, what's-his-face, who, you know, voices Fungus in this. Yeah, I'll put his... If I can't find him, yeah, I'll put his name in the text, just in case, but yeah. Yeah, and so again, you know, episode 1... it was pretty good because, with what was going on and a homecoming at Monsters University, and Tyler kind of embarrasses himself because when he tells the audience that he is now a jokester, and also nice to see him again, Professor Knight, once again being voiced by Alfred Molina, but not just him. Some old familiar faces, this time from Monsters University, the movie, of course, making a comeback, and some of them being the main focuses, of course, Johnny Worthington is back, being voiced by Nathan Fillion. And also, Claire, if anybody remembers Claire from Monsters University, the gothic monster and one of the, heads of the scare games, and Claire once again being voiced by Aubrey Plaza. I'm pretty sure I am properly saying her last name right. And this came out of nowhere, and because Claire and Johnny, they're husband and wife in this, we never saw anything between them in Monsters University, and I mean, it's just how it was written, and just, okay. Did they get together after the events of Monsters University? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the show never establishes that, they're just there, and it shows that they're together, and they're husband and wife, and they have 2 kids. JJ being voiced by Sander Argabright, if I'm even saying his last name at all right, and Lorelei being voiced by Julia Butters. Yeah, so they have 2 kids, a son and daughter, and, sharing some resemblance, of their parents, of course, and since they're monsters. So again, things aren't going too well for Tuskman when he makes an embarrassment of himself. Also, back at Monsters Incorporated, Mike and Sully, they are watching what's happening at Monsters University on the TV, but also a news anchor show called I Scream, You Scream, and the 2 anchors, and actually they're connected, centipede-like legs that they have, but they're connected. They're one of those monsters that's connected. Take, for example, Terry and Terry, Jack and Jill, those are their names. Jill being voiced by comedian Ali Wong, and Jack being voiced by Joe Lo Truglio, if I'm saying his last name right. Yeah, so they're the voices of Jack and Jill. They sometimes don't get along, and they have different opinions and such, and how Jack, is sometimes positive over Monsters Incorporated, but Jill is not, especially when it comes to laugh power. And by season 2, yeah, because things are kind of not looking good for laugh power a handful of times, and as season 2 proceeds, yeah. And apparently on the I Scream, You Scream show, they mistakenly called Mike Wazowski by his last name wrong. They got his last name wrong. Weird Wazowski. And him trying to make a phone call, about this, and it's just, yeah, poor Mike, has no luck. Also, there's one monster who occasionally pops up and has no voice. I wish I could remember his name, but I will put his name in the text. He's supposed to. I tried looking this up, but I just remember. I remember hearing this from, my friends from So You Want to Be an Imagineer when they did a retrospective of season 2, because they say, and you know what, I would think so too, because we never see this monster's face. A parody and reference and homage, I guess you could say, all those words I said, to that one character, from Police Squad / The Naked Gun. The tall guy, and with the banana, just, you got something on the side of your mouth. No, the other side, and the banana drops. Yeah, so you know what, I think I would think so too, because very similar to that. So yeah. So again, the name of that monster's name's in the text. It should be so easy to remember, but sadly I can't. It's one of those things. You all have been there too sometimes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but just overall, episode 1 was pretty good, and this being the start of season 2. And for episode 2, The Creep Show, description / the story. The Mifters join Mike and Sully in representing Monsters, Inc. at the Creep Show. And there's, C.R.E.E., Creep Show. So, an energy convention where they hope to promote laugh power to industry professionals. Yeah, so the Monsters world having its own, convention center and so on. And Monsters Incorporated having their own booth, even though that they're at the very end and it's very small, And turns out that at the Creep Show, we discover that many different ways producing energy, power, and so on. There's one of, say, of farts and burping, or even, spin cycle, pedaling. Yeah, so, those make sense, but also funny. They're funny. Yeah, and some other new characters that we see and that we're introduced to, because, one character being voiced by good old Kirkwood Smith, Alistair Clawbottom, yeah, I'm saying that right, talking about the old days of scream power and stuff like that. Yeah, he was pretty funny. And there was a character that, because Corey Burton actually does have a voice in this too, in Season 2, named Slappy. And Slappy appears in this episode a little bit, yeah. And, because they had met for the first time in episode 1, and they run into one another again in episode 2, Johnny and Tyler, and, because, Johnny, at times, considering for Tyler to, work for him at, Fear Tech and such, and yeah, because Johnny running Fear Tech, and we discover that a past relative of Johnny's, I think great-great-great-grandfather or something, that started it all with Fear Tech and so on, and now the torch being passed to Johnny Worthington. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But little does the Monsters and us audiences know what's really going on at Fear Tech, and clearly, because Johnny has not changed at all, and you would immediately assume that, slowly but surely in this season, Johnny is gonna do something devious and so on, and pretty much. Tyler is not having a good time at the Creep Show, even at one point, at the section of Fear Tech and so on, because he tries out the simulation by roaring, and boy, does he really succeed on that. For the Monsters Incorporated panel for, pitching laugh power and so on, at the end of episode 1, Tyler, he snuck into Monsters Incorporated, he activated a door. I wouldn't say sneaking in, because Val knew that he was going back in, but, he didn't tell her that he was going to activate a door and try to make a kid laugh, because he was, by this point, and at the start of this season, he was not doing successful with his joke routine with donuts, and at one point, juice from the donut got into his eyes, and he screamed and roared, and it scared the kid, and, he did feel bad about it, but, the can did fill up to the top, not just with laughter, but also scream, but with scream and laughter mixed together, oh yeah, it starts sizzling like crazy and such, and the fact that can is brought to Creep Show and just, yeah, that's not too good. And there's also a model that Duncan built by his mother and doesn't want anybody messing with it or ruining it. And because if you guys remember and are aware, especially by the first season, how much Duncan loves his mother, messaging her, and oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Because at one point the can is going to be used and to produce the electricity to the model, and by using that can, Tyler knows it's bad, trying to get to the can and stop the whole thing, and even manages to close the curtains. And also Sully, he has a bit of stage fright, a bit of shyness, but he manages to pull through, thankfully. And Tyler just trying to get that can out of here, and at any risk, at any point it's going to explode. He managed to get it into the bathroom, and yeah, he succeeded. He succeeded. That one monster right at the sinks, seeing what the heck just happened, in that one stall. God. So, in the end, yeah, it was one crazy time at Creep Show, but it ended okay. And, well, how slowly but surely by the end of that episode, Tyler, well, not really at first, but, if he were to really consider, joining Johnny and the theater tech company and so on, yeah. And also, by this episode, we are introduced to someone who joins Monsters Incorporated and who is an ex-partner to, Cutter, sorry. Almost forgot her name for a moment. Yeah, so an ex-partner to Cutter who makes her debut in this episode named Sunny, and Sunny being voiced by Paula Pell. And it turns out, and this is the first time ever in the world of Monsters, Inc., where we see a monster lesbian couple. Okay, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, well, that's interesting, because we never seen that before, but it's not that I'm complaining. I have no problem with it, yeah. But I mean, because knowing Cutter from the first season, and how much we get to know of Sunny, they're pretty funny in the chemistry that they have together. Okay, next up, episode 3, Setting the Table. I think this was a pretty good one, yeah. Okay, description / the story. Tyler is invited to a fancy dinner with Johnny Worthington, yeah, slow down. But it's on the same night and at the same restaurant as a party for Fritz, goes on, so, yeah. Again, as I just said, I think this was a pretty good one, because, something else that, my friends over at So You Want to Be an Imagineer mentioned, and, I would think so too, although, without the drag. Basically, this being similar to what happened in, say, Mrs. Doubtfire at that fancy restaurant, and Robin Williams' character, Daniel, going back and forth, changing from being, Mrs. Doubtfire to himself. If you've seen Mrs. Doubtfire, you know what I'm talking about, and maybe you would think the same way too. With this episode, similarities with this and Mrs. Doubtfire. Because again, Johnny is invited to a fancy dinner to meet with Johnny Worthington, and this is where, if he would consider, and, if he were to accept the offer to work with Johnny and so on, but, yeah, coincidentally, because his fellow Mifters, as well as, Fungus, Rose, Needleman and Smitty, and of course Mike and Sully, they're there because, a party is being thrown for Fritz, his 40th, year of working and such, 40th anniversary of, being a worker at Monsters Incorporated and being a part of Mift, and, it may seem like he's going to retire, but, we find out a little bit later on, because, what goes on in this episode, it's just hilarious, because another voice cast member for Season 2, have to mention, of course, is good old Alan Tudyk. Yeah, he has a couple of voice roles. He mostly, in this episode, he mostly voices, the waiters, yeah. And there's one waiter in particular. I'll get to that in just a moment, but I'm just giving you the heads up. Also, a couple of other voice actors and actresses. They voice the restaurant patrons. So again, a party is being thrown for Fritz, and Tyler has to go back and forth and especially change wardrobe, because the party is themed to a luau and so on. So he's got to put on like a luau get up, and then when going back to sit down with Johnny, changing back in his fancy suit. And yeah, it's hilarious. And the fact that Val discovers this and she plays along and pretends to be a waiter as well, dressing up and speaking French and so on. And one of the waiters, apparently, because with Fritz's party, one of the waiters takes pictures of the monsters, act scared, look behind you, blah, blah, blah. The waiter that's taking the pictures apparently falls for Rose. Okay, that's new. But it's funny, of course. And it's definitely, because knowing Rose and Roz especially, oh my gosh, and just like, what are we seeing? Yeah, and I mean, eventually, because although Mike and Sully and the others don't discover and realize, although Duncan, knowing Duncan, of course, how suspicious he is over Tyler, and still calling him college boy, God, get a grip, Duncan, and seriously, what has Tyler what did he ever do to Duncan? And the first day that Tyler stepped foot in Monsters Incorporated, just from there on, I mean, I don't want to complain that much, and hey, don't get me wrong, Duncan is a pretty good character. He has a lot of funny moments, especially, like, whenever it's about him and his mom and writing to his mom. Of course, that's hilarious. And it's nice that occasionally Tyler and Duncan would get along, very occasionally. I'm sure you would know that too. But they don't suspect that, well, Tyler was really at the fancy restaurant having dinner and meeting with Johnny. And Johnny, once again, reuniting with Mike and Sully. And Mike, well, he is how he still feels towards Johnny, especially after the events of Monsters University, just insulting Johnny and so on, while Sully, on the other hand, making peace with Johnny. And, well, that's nice to see, and knowing Sully, yeah. Trying to keep things positive and, just wanting to, be at peace, not to get in each other's throats. And even though what Johnny and what each of them do, Sully and Johnny, they're two heads of different, factories that, with, that supply, each of them supplying scream and laughter, different opinions and how they feel on doing that stuff, but, at least they do get along a bit, okay? And Johnny offering Sully that maybe they should, talk about, like, maybe possibly teaming up and such, so, nice to hear. And apparently, we discover and find out that with Fritz, because this really didn't turn out to be a retirement party for him, because he mentions about soda machine, that whole thing, just, seriously, Fritz? Because how he feels towards the soda machine that he named Vendy. Yeah, do you remember Vendy? So, yeah. Of course, we have to have Vendy and the appearance of Vendy. So, yeah, how much Vendy means to good old Fritz. I tell you, because Henry Winkler, still good as the voice of Fritz. Like, of course, Fritz has a lot of hilarious moments. And because it's Henry Winkler, yeah. And right before the episode ends, well, because Johnny intentionally, accidentally left behind a scare card of, I think of his father, I want to say, and Johnny noticed it, and, well, Johnny was, going to plan on returning it to Johnny, and, well, that meant he had to go to the main factory building of Fear Tech and so on. Yeah, so, yeah. And which that happens in the next episode. But, yeah, just overall, episode 3, setting the table, it was a pretty good one. Not to mention the waiter and one of the waiters and Rose, they actually do get together. They were smooching in the janitor's closet. And the end credits, to go ahead and mention this and to get this out of the way, the end credits for Season 2, well, totally different from Season 1. I think there were a few episodes where there are different variations of the Monsters, Inc. theme. Just like how it was in Season 1, but just a a couple of episodes. But most of the episodes with the end credits are completely different. Like, in this one, there's a song number from The One Waiter and Rose of Love and so on. And some dialogue that we hear from some of the, characters. Yeah, just overall, the end credits for Season 2 were pretty hilarious. But, yeah, overall, with Episode 3 setting the table, it was a pretty good one, for sure. Okay, now we come to Episode 4, which being Opening Doors. Description / the story. Johnny takes Tyler on a tour of C.R.E.E.P when Tyler is late returning from his visit. Val must cover for him by trying to make a kid laugh. Okay, so I've been saying Fear-Tech. I meant Fear-Co, because dummy me. Co shouldn't be that hard to remember. So Fear-Co, my bad. Well, I mean, Fear-Tech and Fear-Co are the same thing, but still, in this, gotta say Fear-Co. Yeah, this was a pretty good one too, because, yeah, as what happened in the last episode, because Johnny noticed that, Tyler noticed that Johnny accidentally left a scare card of, his father, grandfather, whichever which, and thus Johnny planning to go to C.R.E.E.P to return it to Johnny. And what happens is, well, making his way to the C.R.E.E.P main C.R.E.E.P building and such, and meeting with Johnny, well, Johnny giving him a tour of C.R.E.E.P and such, and while Val covering for Tyler, because, pretending that Tyler took a bathroom break and during lunch hour and such, Val has no choice but, to really make it look like that, everything's good. Val has to, fill in for Tyler by taking in the donuts and so on. And what happens next for Val? Well, surprisingly, because it kind of goes pretty good, because she meets with this little black girl, and she loves everything frogs. Kind of sounds like, Tiana. But anyways, I've heard that from someone else on YouTube, so anyways. Getting the feeling and such because of mentioning Tiana, but, that's not what the little girl's name is. I'll remember to put the name of the little girl's name in the text, as well as the name of her froggy plush, because the frog plush that she has does have a name too. And they start to interact with one another, and it goes pretty well. And sure enough, when it's over for Val and she has to leave, well, the can is full. Val, surprisingly, did pretty well. She made a kid laugh and so on. And Mike happened to had seen this. And and this would only be the beginning, and possibly that Val could possibly become a jokester. Because that happens a little later on. And pretty sure any of you that have seen Season 2 by now, of course, know this. And for Tyler, well, because, his time at C.R.E.E.P, not bad, and, more familiar faces that we see at C.R.E.E.P, because, most notably, Chet, because we saw Chet earlier in the season in Episode 2, Chet. If you remember Chet, the crab guy, the one-eyed crab guy from Monsters University, a part of the Omega Roar, and Chet once again being voiced by Bobby Moynihan, if I'm even saying his last name right. Yeah, you know who it is. We all know who he is. Great funny guy. Yeah, so it's nice to see that he's back once again, reprising the voice role of Chet, and Chet not doing so good, because sometimes he's given a hard time, especially from Johnny and so on. And even, especially in Monsters University, Chet had looked up to Johnny and how he's poorly treated in Season 2. It's a shame. And there's one monster from Hiss, I'll remember to put her name in a text. She happens to be there at C.R.E.E.P because she left Monsters Incorporated and then applied for C.R.E.E.P, and a little interaction between her and Tyler and such. And then apparently at one point we see someone who looks exactly like Duncan, although it's the same monster breed and such as Duncan, but it's not Duncan. his name is Declan. Declan, who has a mustache and a goatee, and he's British. And Declan being voiced by Richard Ayoade, if I'm saying his last name right. He was he did the voice of a bounty hunter droid, yeah, in The Mandalorian. I'm sure you guys would remember the droid that he voiced. So yeah, Declan, of course, is pretty funny, and of course, being a part of C.R.E.E.P. But yeah, just to end things off with episode 4, because I want to, keep this moving along. Yeah, Tyler, because he made his way back to Monsters Incorporated, of course, and still, pretending that, he had to had to take a long bathroom break and so on, and the monsters in the laugh floor have heard enough. They get Tyler's point. And Tyler actually brought something back with him from C.R.E.E.P, a coffee cup. And by the end of that episode, well, Duncan discovers, because he's on Tyler, he discovers that in the waste can, that, yeah, a coffee cup from C.R.E.E.P, and it has Tyler's name on it. And, yeah, again, Duncan just getting to him. And, oh boy, because what happens in the next episode? Oh boy. Yeah, but just overall, episode 4, Opening Doors, it was a pretty good one. And, now we come to episode 5. All right, so episode 5. It's coming from inside the house. Description / the story. The Tuskman family is having a stoop sale. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did pronounce that right. But Tyler struggles to part with his childhood scaring memorabilia. But of course more than that going on, because yeah, basically the Tuskman family, which by the way, can't forget to mention, because the Tuskman family, which by this season, we see a lot more of them. We saw a little bit of them in season 1, but this time for sure, in season 2, we get more of them. We once again get the returning appearance of Tyler's mother, Millie, once again being voiced by Asaya Tyler. I'm sure I'm pronouncing her first name right. And I remember her best. I've talked about this before when I reviewed season 1. I remember Tyler best for playing Mother Nature in the Santa Claus sequels. Yeah. So yeah, she's once again the voice of Millie, and Tyler's dad, Bernard, once again being voiced by John Ratzenberger. And, I was wondering at first, because he hadn't shown up yet. Because speaking of John Ratzenberger, I was wondering in the first episodes of season 2, where's the Abominable? But he's there. He does appear in season 2, good thing, but not until the next 2 episodes after this one, and until we get there. Yeah, so again, John Ratzenberger once again reprising the voice role of Tyler's dad, Bernard. It's funny to see that Ratzenberger has 2 voice roles in the Monsters, Inc. franchise. I guess that's part of the humor, and, well, probably nobody could have voiced Bernard better than, well, good old John Ratzenberger. Because, well, it's John Ratzenberger. What more do I have to say? Also, a new family member who we've not seen in the first season, and who's been staying at the Tuskman family's home for quite a while, because she, unfortunately was not able to live in the retirement home anymore. That being Grandma Tuskman, being voiced by good old Jennifer Lewis, aka the voice of Mama Odie, and she's done a lot more than that, but I'm just saying, that's what we would, for us Disney fans, would know her best as. But anyways, so yeah, nice to see that we get more of the Tuskman family, and not to mention, they have a business, which being a Tuskman hardware store. I know there's a specific name to it, but that's all I really need to say. Also, Duncan having a big part in this episode where, well, what happened in episode 5, he's on to Tyler, and well, because he discovered the, cup from C.R.E.E.P that Tyler brought back with him and had his name on it. Well, in this, we get some film noir, if I'm saying that right, specifically. Tyler just being a private detective and, leaving some mission logs and such on a tape recorder. And, of course, it's hilarious, funny moments from Duncan and when stuff like that happens. So again, this yard sale that the Tuskman family are doing, and, also, Tyler is worried about, his family and the status that they're in, but they do assure him at times that everything's going pretty well, and since they're having a quite good success with their family business, the hardware store. Yeah, but that's very thoughtful and sweet of Tyler, especially in the situation that he's in, trying to be a jokester, and yeah. So yeah, Tyler's fellow mifters do help out, with the garage sale, but it's mainly a yard sale, no garage. They help out, especially Val. Val helps out, and well, because with Fritz and Roger Rogers and Cutter and the others. Duncan not really joining them, because again, film noir and being a private detective, keeping an eye on Tyler and so on. And we get the introduction of a new character, a neighbor of the Tuskmans, Marilyn, being played by good old Jennifer Coolidge. She's interested in getting something from their yard sale, and one in particular is a scare card collection book from, that's Tyler's, although accidentally it was in one of the boxes and Tyler is not considering selling that. And also, Marilyn's pet named Chauncey, if I'm even saying that name right, and I should have known that D. Bradley Baker would be the voice of Marilyn's pet. Also, yeah, D. Bradley Baker having more voice roles in Monsters at Work and for Season 2, because he also voices Robot Kid and Neighbor Monsters. And he does come back to voice Banana Bread a couple of times. The one monster that doesn't have any dialogue, just... yeah, that one. Needleman and Smitty making an appearance, of course. And, yeah, just, what goes on for, Mike and Sully is pretty funny, of course, and what happens back at Monsters Incorporated. Pretty funny. Because I did forget to mention this right as I started talking about Episode 5. The opening to this episode, well, because of what happened with Val when she had to, fill in for Tyler because of, the bathroom break. Well, Val, because how good she was... And she is kind of considering giving it a shot some more, because at one point she enters into the simulator room and tries to, make the simulator kid laugh and so on. And little does she know that, outside of the simulator room, stepping in and there's the simulator kid, Mike and Sully happen to be there, and they're watching through, from the monitors on what Val is doing. And she does pretty good. And she was, shocked and, kind of embarrassed that Mike and Sully were there to see her do it. And, well, sure enough, and luckily for her, Mike and Sully, they were impressed. They were impressed by what she did. And they... ask her if she would really consider becoming a jokester. And yeah, because she thinks about it at times, during this episode, and even when, trying to talk about this with Tyler and so on, yeah. But yeah, so continuing on where I was at, because with this episode, with the yard sale and such, again, with Duncan, just trying to get the information and trying to find more clues and, getting on Tyler's tail. And, because at one point, Duncan enters the Tuskman hardware store and, trying to find some evidence. And, he interacts with Bernard. And at one point, he tries to make his way upstairs to find more evidence and clues and trying to get into Tyler's room, obviously. And then he encounters and interacts with Grandma Tuskman. I know, because this was out of nowhere. Apparently, Duncan then has feelings for Grandma Tuskman. Really? Duncan? Why? I don't know. And, the time that Duncan and Grandma Tuskman spend is hilarious. And Grandma Tuskman showing Duncan some family photos, including Grandma Tuskman's late husband, the father, of course, to Bernard. And, yeah. And... yeah, as I recall, Duncan, really didn't find that much more evidence and such, clues with Tyler, and because, starting with the, coffee cup from Fear Co. Yeah. Also not finding a key or anything like that. Someone, mentioned that on YouTube of Monsters at Work of this episode, but anyways. So, yeah. And more with the art sale because, at one point in the episode, things are not looking too good, and especially when the truth is out and revealed because, Grandma Tuskman and Bernard kind of get into a little argument and about the retirement home, and, she was told that why she could no longer stay in the retirement home was because they booted her out. Well, that was not the case because, Bernard comes clean and tells her mother that they couldn't afford to have her stay at the retirement home. And that's understandable, and it's a shame. Then at one point, and to speed things up because, Tyler does decide, and because some talk that he got from his mom and the other characters, he decides to, just to go ahead and sell off his scaring card collection book, his book collection of scare cards, and of course giving that book to Marilyn. So the book is given to Marilyn, and all ends well, and episode 5 I think was a pretty good episode, and because what happens at the end of the episode, funny and just, because family dinner happens, and we find out, and we learn more from Grandma Tuskman that she was once a scarer, but then she retired, and, because, she had Bernard, and, becoming a mother, of course, and the cane that she uses, it's a horn. It's one of her old horns. And the last character that we see in this episode is Duncan, finishing off what he was doing, because, being a private detective and the film noir, black and white and so on. And he stole one of the pictures from the Tuskman family album, which being the picture of Grandma Tuskman with her husband, and he put a picture of himself covering the head, just... God, what a funny way to end it off, and with Duncan, just again, episode 5, that was a pretty good episode. I think, I don't know, because from what I can tell, probably one of the best episodes from season 2, I'm pretty sure, as far as I recall. Okay, so now we come to episode 6, which being Field of Screams. Description / the story. At the annual Monsters, Inc. vs. Fear Co. softball game, Val tries to tell Tyler about a job offer from Mike and Sully, but Tyler is too busy considering his own future to listen. So this episode is, sports themed. Monsters Incorporated against Fear Co. And more specifically, nobody from the laugh floor. Those from Myth, the Mifters, they're there, and, being a part of this annual Monsters, Inc. / Fear Co. Let's face it, the Mifters are the main characters, and, George Sanders was there, right? Didn't I also see... Fungus was there too, I'm pretty sure, and I would know if I would have seen Phlegm / Bile. Mr. Bile, but his friends call him Phlegm. Bile, such a great character. And, how he opened Monsters Incorporated, so we all love Monster Bile, don't we? So in the Monsters world, basically baseball in the Monsters world is called softball. I'm pretty sure because, the softball being soft and such. Because there are times where the ball bounces around, but So, of course, with those at Monsters Incorporated, aside from the Mifters, Mike and Sully are there, Needleman and Smitty, and this is the first time where we've seen, Needleman and Smitty not, wearing their Monsters, Inc. Work helmets, Also, Roz finally showing up, because we've been seeing Rose, but this time we see Roz, and actually Rose was the bus driver. And you know something? Like in Season 1, and especially for Season 2, Roz and Rose never share any screen time. We never see them together. And whether or not, like, who really knows, Just, clearly just for laughs, and, because Mike thought, at the end of the last episode of Season 1 that Roz had been Rose all this time, but who really knows? And also Chet being there. Yeah, those from Fear.Co at the annual Monsters, Inc. and Fear.Co, face-off and softball. Chet being there, Johnny Worthington, of course, and his family, and also, because I was right, Fungus is there, and Chompy being voiced by D. Bradley Baker. There's also a new character from Fear.Co called Skylar, and Skylar being voiced by Jimmy Tatro, if I'm saying his last name right, and also Declan being there, and a scarer from Fear.Co, who is top scarer at Fear.Co, Joy being voiced by Janelle James, I think I'm saying her full name right, and Hazel being voiced by Hiromi Dames, and of course Johnny and I lost her, just like, well, Aubrey Plaza, Claire. Their children are, of course, there, so, yeah. And a new character who Mike is a big fan of and he admires, Stubby Lizardo. I think I'm saying that right. And Stubby Lizardo being voiced by Ethan Sandler. Mike has, like, something autographed from Stubby Lizardo. Well, has a book that was written by Stubby, and Stubby happens to be there. And also Miss Flint. Nice to see that, Miss Flint being in this. I don't see why she wouldn't return some more. And Miss Flint, obviously, once again being voiced by the one and only good old Bonnie Hunt. Because, Miss Flint, she doesn't have that much in Season 2. But overall, it's still nice to see Miss Flint. Yeah. And Slappy being there again being voiced by Corey Burton. And there's also Fear.Co Respitonist, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sure you know what I'm saying. Being voiced by Noli Quiros, and there's Ben being voiced by Alan Kim. So the annual softball game, Monsters, Inc. versus Fear.Co begins, and I like how from Claire to Cutter, they're the ones with the mitts, and Roz, because Roz being there, and she's the umpire, strike, save. Gotta do a Roz impression, of course. I can do better than that, but anyways. So, I gotta say, because what goes on in this episode and with the game happening, it goes pretty well, but there are times where things don't look too good for, especially that goes for the Monsters, Inc. team, and Mike fearing that they're going to lose and such, and also Stubby Lizardo, because him being there, and he's doing nothing, because he sits down and you think like he's watching the game, but he hasn't moved a muscle. Is he asleep? And apparently he is asleep throughout this entire game. And all while that's going on, you have Val, who's trying to tell Tyler about the job offer of being a jokester and such. But and as I read it in the description / the story, Tyler being too busy with what's going on with him and his future of being a jokester and stuff like that, and whether if he wants to continue being a jokester or work with Johnny at Fear.Co. And even when, Tyler interacting with Johnny some more, and at one point in the episode, Johnny informs Tyler that he had hired someone else, and that of course being Skylar, and Skylar just being kind of I think it's obvious, kind of a clueless monster or something, but he is quite funny. So just overall, the game that goes on, and, hit and miss, and things looking okay, not so good, and that mainly goes for the Monsters, Inc. team, and even at times, because the ball bouncing back and forth and so on, and there's one moment where Skylar is out, and someone has to fill in, throwing the ball at the player, and sure enough, towards the end of the game, Tyler takes that position for Fear.Co, putting on a Fear.Co team hat this time, and yeah. Also, the opening to this episode, cannot forget to mention this, good thing I remembered, because it was a weird opening. Well, I mean, because, yeah, because for some, like, I mean, sometimes you don't see these things come, but you would immediately tell, like, oh, okay, this is not real, yeah, because Tyler has this nightmare, because, you know, entering into Ben's room, I assume, and things just go crazy, and he sees his mom, you know, we're poor now, and Val chasing after Tyler, and hearing Sully and Johnny's voices, seeing Ben all grown up, but still with that little boy head, just a lot of crazy crap happening in that nightmare that Tyler's happening, and, well, he wakes up and, yeah, it was only a dream. Thank goodness for that. Okay, so with that established, the opening nightmare sequence, yeah, because as the game is, you know, near the end, and Tyler taking the position of throwing the ball for Fear.Co, well, because whom is up next and the player with the bat, yeah, not too good. It's Val, and, well, because, yeah, you know, Tyler throwing the pitch, you know, there's the pitch, and Val swinging, of course, and it's a good hit. And actually, because a lot of times where, you know, some of the characters, and as I recall, Val, mostly, not good at swinging and hitting the bat. Well, hitting the ball, I should say, with the bat, yeah. But when Val does, it was a good hit. It's coming right towards Tyler, literally. It's right, you know, it's getting up to his face, and he visions seeing Val, and because of what happened in the nightmare sequence, and just, you think that, oh, that hit him in the face, but no, actually, he caught it. He caught it with the baseball nit. Yeah. Well, apparently, because of that, Fear.Co won the game, but yeah, not a great way for that to be the end of the game and for the episode to end off, and well, everybody's upset towards Tyler, even though he didn't do this intentionally, okay? And, well, Val being the most upset and kind of feeling betrayed by her, you know, a jokester working buddy, and even, like, say, when they've made pinky promises and stuff like that, and, yeah, it's really a shame, and poor Tyler. And as for, like, say, Mike Wazowski, because, you know, him being upset because Fear.Co had won, but, you know, overall, after all that, and because Fear.Co were the winners, it was still a pretty good game, yeah, with what was going on. There's one moment where Sully, as they get on the bus, and, yeah, to mention that because they were on a school bus, but for Fear.Co, they were in a big, fancy bus. Man, Fear.Co getting the best stuff, and, you know, Monsters Incorporated. I mean, come on, this is Monsters Incorporated. You'd think they would have this cool, awesome stuff. They kind of do, but Fear.Co just trying to be more cool and stuff like that. But anyway, so Sully at one point, as they get on the bus, Sully gives Mike the baseball glove mitt from Stubby. And how did he get it from Stubby? Well, he didn't ask. He didn't ask Stubby, but that's not to say that Stubby said no. But we see that, yeah, Sully did steal it from Stubby. And, yeah, just not a good way to end off the episode, because everybody's upset and, you know, towards Tyler. And, well, you know, Val being upset towards Tyler. You know, because from him not listening to what Val wanted to tell him, you know, especially couldn't she have waited until the game was done? She was trying to tell Tyler while the game was going on and while they were out in the field. Could not have picked another good time to tell him this? I'm just saying, because it is obvious. And right before the episode ends and with the credits, we cut back to Stubby, who was still asleep and is still there, and now that it's late in the evening and such, and he wakes up finally, and he sees that, you know, where's my glove mitt? Yeah, he can tell. So, that was a funny way to end it off. But at the same time, yeah, because a sad way to end it off because of what just happened. But at least with the one last scene with Stubby, that kind of, yeah, that did lighten things up. But yeah, episode 6, Field of Screams. This too was another pretty good episode for season 2. I liked it. It was good. Okay, so with that established, the opening nightmare sequence, yeah, because as the game is, near the end, and Tyler taking the position of throwing the ball for Fearco, well, because whom is up next and the player with the bat, yeah, not too good. It's Val, and, well, because, yeah, Tyler throwing the pitch, there's the pitch, and Val swinging, of course, and it's a good hit. And actually, because a lot of times where, some of the characters, and as I recall, Val, mostly, not good at swinging and hitting the bat. Hitting the ball, I should say, with the bat, yeah. But when Val does, it was a good hit. It's coming right towards Tyler, literally. It's right, it's getting up to his face, and he visions seeing Val, and because of what happened in the nightmare sequence, and just, you think that, that hit him in the face, but no, actually, he caught it. He caught it with the baseball nit. Yeah. Well, apparently, because of that, Fearco won the game. But yeah, not a great way for that to be the end of the game and for the episode to end off. And well, everybody's upset towards Tyler, even though he didn't do this intentionally, okay? And well, Val being the most upset and kind of feeling betrayed by her, a jokester working buddy, and even like say when they've made pinky promises and stuff like that, and yeah. It's really a shame, and poor Tyler. And as for, say, Mike Wazowski, because, him being upset because Fearco had won. But, overall, after all that, and because Fearco were the winners, it was still a pretty good game, yeah, with what was going on. There's one moment where Sully, as they get on the bus, and, yeah, to mention that because they were on a school bus. But for Fearco, they were in a big, fancy bus. Man, Fearco getting the best stuff, and, Monsters Incorporated. I mean, come on, this is Monsters Incorporated. You'd think they would have this cool, awesome stuff. They kind of do, but Fearco just trying to be more cool and stuff like that. But anyway, so Sully at one point, as they get on the bus, Sully gives Mike the baseball glove mitt from Stubby. And how did he get it from Stubby? Well, he didn't ask. He didn't ask Stubby, but that's not to say that Stubby said no. But we see that, yeah, Sully did steal it from Stubby. And yeah, just not a good way to end off the episode because everybody's upset and, towards Tyler. And, well, Val being upset towards Tyler. Because from him not listening to what Val wanted to tell him, especially couldn't she have waited until the game was done? She was trying to tell Tyler while the game was going on and while they were out in the field. Could not have picked another good time to tell him this? I'm just saying, because it is obvious. And right before the episode ends and with the credits, we cut back to Stubby, who was still asleep and is still there, and now that it's late in the evening and such, and he wakes up finally, and he sees that, where's my glove mitt? Yeah, he can tell. So, that was a funny way to end it off. But at the same time, yeah, because a sad way to end it off because of what just happened, but at least with the one last scene with Stubby, that kind of, yeah, that did lighten things up. But yeah, episode 6, Field of Screams. This too was another pretty good episode for season 2. I liked it. It was good. Okay, so we only have 4 more episodes left. So, episode 7, Monsters in the Dark. Yeah, this was a pretty interesting one, and well, right after what the heck happened, at the end of the last episode, and well, because, things have not been patched up and so on, understandable, especially, towards Tyler and Val, because, him not being supportive and not listening to what she had to tell him because how focused he was, and as I explained. So yeah, episode 7, Monsters in the Dark. Description / the story. Mike and Sully lead a moral-boosting company retreat in the spooky sub-basement of Monsters, Inc. So, yeah, this is where, scariness happens. I'd almost think, probably this be a perfect kind of, Halloweenish thing to watch, but, yeah. Well, I mean, that is, as if, anything Monsters Incorporated is not something to watch around Halloween time, because, it's monsters, so, yeah. But, yeah, so, after the events of what the heck happened at the end of episode 6, well, because this time Tyler is being dropped off at Monsters Incorporated by his family, because for a while in season 2, it was Val that was giving Tyler a ride to Monsters Incorporated, but this time it's his family, and the mom being the driver. So, when getting to Monsters Incorporated, Tyler brought with him some cookies baked by his grandmother, Grandma Tuskman. Val still being upset by what happened and so on. And then at one point, Tyler and Val are invited down to a lower section of, the factory, the sub-basement and such. Miss Flint, guiding them there, and going down the elevator shaft, and almost kind of like, say, Tower of Terror, vibes, because how fast the elevator's going down, pretty much. Well, not to mention because there's that, and there's another, Disney theme park reference, because I actually read this before watching the episode, because there's one episode where Roger Rogers is playing his guitar, ukulele and such, and he plays a little bit of a tune from the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, the one at Disneyland, the Bayou, where, you hear a banjo playing. That's what it is. That's nice that they included that. A nice little Easter egg / reference. So, them going down into the sub-basement, and they're greeted by Mike and Sully, and everybody else is there, from the Mifters, from Miss Flint, of course, Rose is there, as well as Abominable. Yeah, we finally see the Abominable in this episode, and in Season 2. And also, Needleman and Smitty are there, and George Sanderson, and, yeah, so... And Flem also being there. So basically what's going on is that, they're about to enter into this old room where the very first door station was built, but also something else that they are warned about, and even Fritz tells them a spooky tale of Karloff the Shrieker. And Karloff the Shrieker, being this monster who not only scared kids, but with how too far he was going, he also scared his fellow monsters. And, some say that his ghost, roams around the sub-basement of the factory, and if anybody laughs, the lights will flicker, and he will snatch you instantly. So, well, and, obviously, and from what we can tell, Karloff, he hates laughter. So, yeah. And basically, inside the very first ever built door station, they each of the monsters are given a piece of paper writing down, room of improvement or something, area of improvement, basically, writing down some things, for improvement and stuff like that. Like, Duncan wrote Tyler's name, and I think, yeah, the same goes for Val, other things that the monsters wrote. Even a pile of paperwork was given to Mike. Well, that obviously comes from Rose. So, and then at one point, well, because just things get out of hand, and, the spookiness happens, because Sully at one point laughs, the lights flicker, he disappears, and then Mike, saying, "Okay, very funny, Sullivan, you can come out, we're all amused," and, he starts laughing, and then the lights flicker, then he disappears, and it's just them, where the heck is Mike and Sully? What are they going to do now? And, well, That's when they start to some of them start to get together and try to come up with plans and to find Mike and Sully and possibly try to defeat the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker. And I like that there was one moment where those that did not feel scared, Miss Flint, Cutter, and Rose, they're all together and they have weapons. They're not amused and they're not scared, so I'd imagine. And especially this goes for Val and Tyler, because they have to work together to solve this and to do whatever it takes to confront the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker and so on. And still, how Val is upset towards Tyler because he didn't listen to her and so on. And Roger Rogers helping them out a little and discovering one door where possibly, through the door the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker could be, and even say at one point the Abominable, unveils a banishment door that's inside the room of the first door station, and that's the ticket, to try to get rid of the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker. Well, basically, and Val coming up with this brilliant idea, they all have to laugh, and that will get the attention and lure Karloff the Shrieker, the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker. And by doing so, and, sure enough, we apparently see the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker approaching and moving slowly, very creepy, and, their attempts to activate the banishment door, and kind of doesn't go too well, especially the lever breaks, and it's up to Tyler to, drop the banishment door on Karloff the Shrieker, and by doing so, risking himself, he too, to, with Karloff the Shrieker, the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker, going through the banishment door. And of course, everything goes well. They succeed on defeating and banishing Karloff the Shrieker, his ghost, and, turns out, and I should have seen this coming, I had a good feeling this is probably more likely was what was going to happen. Turns out, and a little bit of a Scooby-Doo vibe, because there was no ghost of Karloff the Shrieker. It was Mike and Sully all along. They were Karloff the Shrieker. Mike was the head, and Sully was the body. And, that was their way of getting everybody together and what was going on. And you know what? Their plan succeeded. Yeah, because they did get together, and what all of them did, and yeah. And Tyler trying to apologize to Val because of what happened, during softball and him not listening, kind of doesn't go too well. But eventually, yeah, as of now, and by that point, things are looking good between Val and Tyler. Yeah, co-working buddies, besties, and such. Yeah, everything's good for now. Because this is episode 7, and after this, only 3 episodes left. Obviously, something worse is gonna happen. Just, yeah, in one of those situations. So yeah, and eventually, because they leave the room of the first door station that was built, and, the last thing we see, the camera, panning and, making its way to that creepy door with red lighting, and, the door opens, and we hear some shrieking and such, and it leaves you wondering, could that really be the ghost of Karloff the Shrieker or Roger Rogers? Because something about Roger Rogers, where at a certain point in season 2, you start to get suspicious with Roger Rogers. Even I kind of was, but before watching season 2, I already found out a couple of things, which I will not say yet until I continue on and get there. Some specific stuff, including, someone that has, that has to do with Roger Rogers, but, until I get there. But, yeah. And the end credits were pretty funny because Cutter, because, of course, Cutter being in this episode, because funny stuff that happens with Cutter in this episode, especially in the end credits where she was about to, tell a story about something tragic in her life and so on, and, we don't hear any of it because it cuts and music plays, but right as the credits finish, we hear her finishing her story, and the last thing she says is that's how she lost her 5th or 6th ex. Like, God, what a funny way to end that episode. Yeah. But yeah, just overall, episode 7, episode 7, the name of it, where can I... Yeah, okay, my bad, yeah. Episode 7, Monsters in the Dark. This was a pretty good episode. Yeah, it was quite funny, and what goes on, and, scary and Halloweenish vibes that go on into this, and, what goes on with the characters and how they come together, and how, for now, as I said, things are patched up between Val and Tyler. That's good to see. Just, yeah, overall, episode 7 was a pretty good one. All right, so 3 episodes left. So we come to the 3rd to last episode of season 2, that being Lights, Camera, Chaos. Kind of had to do it like that. So episode 8, Lights, Camera, Chaos. This is where, just very slowly but surely, when things were looking okay in the last episode, well, when we come to this, and at a certain point, so, all right, description / the story. When news anchors Jack and Jill visit Monsters, Inc. for an interview, Mike and Sully hope to show off laugh power to all Monstropolis. Yeah, because in this episode, they are still determined to prove to, Monstropolis and such that, laugh power is the answer and the key to really providing and producing really good power and so on. And because of what happened at, in episode 2 of Creep Show and such, and and how, still, during this season, monsters are really not sure on laugh power, and and of course that goes for Tyler. The situation that Tyler's in, whether if he still wants to be a jokester, or maybe if it's best if he becomes a scarer, Jack and Jill, of course, them showing up to Monsters Incorporated, but at a certain point and out of nowhere, because Celia calls up Myth, because, in the scare floor that will be shown to Jack and Jill, well, apparently someone made a mess in that scare floor, or should I say laugh floor, laugh floor, by, canisters everywhere, paper everywhere, but most notably, some spray paint on the walls, and, saying that, we want scare power back, scare power is the answer, stuff like that. And, well, they gotta clean this before Jack and Jill show up into the scare floor. And, throughout the episode, Mike and Sully, determined to, have them not go into the laugh floor just yet, stalling some time and just giving them a tour on every single place in Monsters Incorporated, from, like, say, the walls and the walls that they talk about. Just, oh my gosh, it is quite funny, and, the best they can do. Poor Mike and Sully. And Tyler, he really suspects, and getting Val into this, that probably, and most likely, it's Roger Rogers who did this. And, we can see that he's got some spray paint on his fur, his furry tentacles, and, because going into the Mifter headquarters and such, and, because, again, Jack and Jill, and there's also a character named Carter, because Carter, he is the cameraman, and also Curtis Armstrong voicing Mr. Kermiham, and there's, Sunny, of course, Sunny being in this episode too, and, just crazy things happening currently in the factory, and with what Mike and Sully are trying to do, stalling some time, while the Mifters, they are determined to clean up the scare floor, and but with that going on, because, Tyler and Val on patrol, just, keeping an eye and following Roger Rogers. And at one point, they overhear a phone call that Roger Rogers is having, and yeah, if that's not suspicious, and with what Roger Rogers is saying to whomever it is that's on the other line. Well, because at one point, they're really having no luck trying to clean up the mess, especially what was spray painted on the walls. So the solution is put up some doors, over to cover the spray paint. Just, place them and, lean them on the walls and so on. And eventually, and after all that time, for Jack and Jill, given a tour by Mike and Sully, even because other times that they were stalling for time, well, because, like, at one point they turn over to the Abominable, we get more of the Abominable, and in this episode, and his ice cream trolley, that was funny. And eventually, when they make their way to the laugh floor, thankfully, and in the nick of time, they manage to clean up the mess, and by putting the doors covering the spray paint that they were not able to clean off in time. But Mike accidentally, knocks over a Scream canister, and, not to mention, because still, one of the Scream canisters having a mixture of, laughter and screams, and how, with that happening, because it would have have a very big part in, like, the next two episodes, especially in the final one, but until I get there. Yeah, because with Mike accidentally knocking over a Scream canister, laugh canister, to be more precise, now that that's what it would be called, it, just flies around and, causing the doors to knock over and unveiling the spray paint and just the graffiti and the words and, Jack and Jill seen this, and, to make things worse, Tyler and Val showing up and revealing the identity and truth to whom is responsible for this, and that being the son of Henry J. Waternoose. The son, it's Roger Rogers! Yeah, he's the son. He's Henry J. Waternoose's son. That's crazy. Pointing out that Roger Rogers is behind all this, he's responsible, and, by trying to get Scream power back and so on, and little did Tyler realize that this was live, and Jill was pleased by all that they got, but as for Jack, because, you could tell because Jack, he's upset by this, and, how supportive he is of Monsters Incorporated, but, and he really has nothing to say, so that's all they need, the news reporters and, the news crew and so on. And Sully, he is disappointed by this and, everyone in my office now, and just confronting on what happened, and, this goes directly towards Tyler. And Tyler, because, the truth is out, and, Roger Rogers is the son of Waternoose, but the thing is, and according to Mike and Sully, they knew that he was the son of Waternoose, but the thing is, Waternoose's son was not a bad monster, because he believed in what could happen and, for Monsters Incorporated, unlike Roger Rogers' father, and, even Tyler asking, what about the stuff that Roger Rogers was doing, those pictures and stuff like that, and actually that was Mike's idea, because the pictures of, of the monsters working in the factory, and just, and sadly, to make things worse, at one point, Sully, he discovers that the drawing that Boo drew of her and him is gone. The glass broke from the portrait. And, because Sully, pointing out that Boo is the inspiration for all this, laugh power and stuff like that. And Boo's drawing is gone. That's when Cutter steps in and reveals that a lot of stuff had been stolen and had been placed in Tyler's locker, from Mike Wazowski's baseball mitt, Fritz's a key that belonged to Fritz, and of course, Boo's drawing. Oh boy. And it's obvious Tyler is being framed, and Duncan, because, he's pleased by this, and he believes that, the the mystery has been solved, case is closed, and well, because of the, also, in addition with the coffee cup from Feeder Co., and well, they find out that Tyler had gone to Feeder Co. Well, I mean, as Tyler explains, he wanted to return, just return to Johnny the scare card that Johnny left when Tyler had dinner with Johnny, and yeah, they find out that too, and well, and for, like, say, Val, she is upset by this, and even though she was there at the restaurant still, and sadly, by this point, Tyler, he's had enough, and thus he disembarks Monsters Incorporated. And the very last scene of the episode is when he calls up Johnny. And it's at that point that Tyler now is going to accept the offer, I should say. He's going to accept the offer that Johnny, gave him and such to be a part of Feeder Co. and be a scare. Oh, man, just what a way to end that off, right? And like I said, when things were looking pretty good in the last episode, and when we come up to this, yeah, but surely, at the very last episode of the season, we know that things will turn out pretty good, but, by watching the next episode and the last, we have to see for ourselves. So, yeah, you get my point. But, yeah, because episode 8, Lights, Camera, Chaos, this was a pretty good episode, and how, when things were looking pretty good, but then suspension was happening, and just things were just going downhill, and for Tyler, yeah, it was a pretty good episode, definitely. Episode 8, Lights, Camera, Chaos, a good one, and that being the third to last episode of this season. Okay, so 2 episodes left. So, the second to last episode, episode 9, Descent into Fear. Yes. Description / the story. Tyler and Val start their first days at their new jobs. Tyler as a scarer at Feeder Co. and Val as a jokester at Monsters, Inc. Yeah, now I did forget to mention this. Good thing I remembered, and I like to, I always try my best to remember some certain details. But basically, because in the last episode, Lights, Camera, Chaos, Val did accept the offer of becoming a jokester. So by this episode, yeah, she now becomes a jokester. And as for Tyler, well, kind of seems like things are now going pretty well for him, and now that he's got a job at Feeder Co., and now going to become officially in what he had hoped on being, a scarer. And yeah, because Feeder Co., because, I did forget to point this out. It's great to see that in Season 2, we explore more, and we get to see more locations and sets, because most of the time in Season 1, we just got, we did get a little bit of Monsters University, but overall, the entirety of Season 1 was just Monsters Incorporated, the factory itself. But by this season, yeah, I'm glad that they've expanded, and really great that we get to see more of Monstropolis, and actually getting to see it in person, visually see it, what Feeder Co. is like. And because of the mentionings of Feeder Co., Feeder Tech, and from Monsters University, and not to mention, we get to see Monsters University once again in Season 2. Yeah, it's great to see. I'm glad, that what we had gotten from Season 2, them expanding and stuff like that, yeah. So yeah, again, each Val and Tyler, the jobs that they get, and, for Val, because her fellow Mifters and everybody else congratulating her on her first day becoming a jokester, and, things, that, go on during this episode for Monsters Incorporated, not bad, especially, we once again get this, as we got it in Season 1, the energy drink, and poor Mike Wazowski, because him taking that energy drink, and yeah, he kind of needs to step away from that a little, especially how big his eye gets, his one eye, and Billy Crystal does that, so anyways, not very fitting. And as for Tyler, well, a bit rocky, because, yeah, it's kind of going okay, but you know what? really doesn't adjust, everything doesn't adjust to him that quick and such. I mean, some of them don't treat him that good. I mean, especially, as I mentioned, the top scarer, which, being, Joy, because, as I mentioned, her being top scarer of Fear.Co, but then at a certain point in the episode, and when Tyler does begin to scare kids officially, that's when at a certain point he does become top scarer. And, some of the other characters that we see at Fear.Co, because Scarlet, being voiced by Aubrey Madeline, I'm pretty sure that could be the goth monster. I'll know while I'm editing this review, and if there's going to be some texts or something, But anyways, but you're watching this and so you know what the final results are of my review of Monsters at Work. Also, there's Josh Rivera. There's one character that Alan Tudyk voices. It's one of the waiters. Things looking kind of rocky and such again for Tyler, even when at a certain point, oh my gosh, this is where really hits hard, because Ben, I didn't talk about Ben that much, because basically, Tyler had at a certain point grown a bond with a human kid, and, just like, say, Sully with Boo, other monsters, especially for Monsters at Work, like Flem with that little baby girl, and the same baby girl that, that bonds with Mike, even though he wants no connections with her, but he kind of technically does. So take those as an example, because at a certain point in this episode, because Tyler seems to be doing pretty good, being a scarer, and he's really making it up there, and taking Joy's place. There's one particular door that is activated. And by entering in it, because it's the room of Ben, and he has to scare Ben. And when Ben is happy to see Tyler once again, he can't do this. But then at a certain point, the pressure built into him from Ben, like he's playing a flute and such, showing off to Tyler, and the monsters chanting him, Declan being one of them, of course. Because Declan being a part of Fear.Co. And, it just builds into him, and then he just loses it and starts to roar, and this scares Ben, and Ben just now being terrified of Tyler. God, if that's not gut-wrenching, I tell ya, it's insane. Poor Tyler, because the position that he's in and where he's at now, it's crazy. I tell ya. Jeez. Because you know what? It does a really good job, because that's one of the most important things that has to happen in anything Monsters Incorporated, just something gut-wrenching and just so powerful and emotional. So I tell ya, this episode did a really good job at that, for sure. Because after that, Tyler, he couldn't believe what he had done, and and even when, he did try to meet and speak with Johnny at one point, but then, and to speed things up still, because, Johnny meeting with Tyler, and there's a conference happening outside of Fear.Co, the building, and, Johnny promoting Tyler to be vice president, and apparently they have created something to really, provide, power and such, energy, and that is, and by unveiling, the Scream amplifier. And then at one point, apparently a blackout happens all over Monstropolis, from the city, from the town, and just, with Monsters Incorporated itself, even Fear.Co. And this is a complete just out of nowhere moment, like, what has just happened? Even one of the monsters that was giving Tyler a hard time over at the C.R.E.E.P show, was writing like a novel or something, and he was just about to finish it, but then the blackout happened, and everything that he wrote, gone. I think some of us would know and feel that pain. I'm pretty sure that goes for all of us, so no denying. Because how did this blackout happen? And especially this hit Fearco, well, Johnny assuring everybody, well, not to mention Jack and Jill are there, Johnny assuring that everything is okay and, this will be sorted out. And, well, clearly, and I think it's obvious that Johnny would have to be involved in this, right? He'd have to have some part in this mysterious blackout, right? And especially when Monsters Incorporated is framed for the blackout. This is pinned on them. And they had nothing to do with this, especially when the next episode hits. But, well, before I get to episode 10, of course, to finish off episode 9, 9 fingers, well, Johnny, after the conference, Johnny having, more talk with Tyler, and at one point, they go in the bowels of Fearco in this, creepy evil lair. And it's obvious because, from the beginning, you knew Johnny was not to be trusted. And sure enough, you'd think, of course, at a certain point, he would do something devious and try to take down Monsters Incorporated, and with them doing laugh power. And pretty obvious. Well, this lair that they go to down in the basement in the bowels of Fearco, and this door station that they approach and such. Well, this one door station, because a canister, the door opens and we see a laugh canister. Basically, because we find out that Fearco has been stealing, canisters from Monsters Incorporated, and could it be Roger Rogers doing this? I mean, because of what happened in the last episode, well, no. It was not Roger Rogers at all. It turns out to be Randall Boggs. Yes. I should have known, and I was kind of having the feeling that maybe possibly could we ever see Randall Boggs appear in Monsters at Work? Well, sure enough, and by this season, it didn't take that long, especially, for season 2, he's back. And Randall, once again, being voiced, rightfully so, by good old Steve Buscemi. Yeah. And just Randall's introduction, fantastic. And, of course, turning uninvisible. And Tyler, of course, knows that it's Randall. And, Tyler saying, Randall? And then Johnny saying, Boggs. And, then Randall calling Johnny boss, and oh my gosh, what a heck of a way to end off that episode right there. I tell you, just, that was insane. And a way to end it off, and well, because there's only one episode left, and yeah. But just, yeah. Episode 9, I'm sorry, the fingers. Episode 9, Descent into Fear. That was a pretty good second to last episode for this season. Yeah, and especially, with the gut-wrenching scene with Tyler and Ben, and the shocking reveal of Randall Boggs. Just everything about the second to last episode, Descent into Fear, it was a good one, for sure. All right, so here we are. We come to the 10th and last episode of Season 2 of Monsters at Work, which being Powerless. So, description / the story. After a devastating blackout, Tyler must reconnect with Val to bring power back to Monstropolis. So in this one, well, because after what the heck just happened, out of nowhere at the very end of episode 9, well, again, Randall is back. And what a way to start off the episode, because Randall gives us some information and tells us a story. I'm pretty sure maybe directly at us audience, maybe a little bit of breaking the fourth wall, but pretty much this is directly at Tyler, because, well, turns out that Johnny saved Randall from those swamp people, as Randall calls them, because, what happened to Randall, his demise in Monsters Incorporated, with the trailer park and with the Pizza Planet truck, and of course, that being the same set from A Bug's Life, yeah. Nice that they reused that. So yeah, and it didn't take that long, as far as I recall, that it didn't take that long for Randall to be saved from the human world thanks to Johnny. Well, and Johnny and Randall going back, as Randall says, because of, MU, but I don't know, because, they're on good terms. I mean, especially because after Johnny gave Randall, Johnny and the others gave Randall a hard time, because if you recall what happened in Monsters University, but yeah, And well, because Fearco was getting beaten by Monsters Incorporated, and Johnny had to protect, the legacy of his family and the business. And thus, well, Randall and Johnny, they teamed up together in order to take down Monsters Incorporated. Randall had been sneaking all around the factory, Monsters Incorporated, and it was never Roger Rogers. Yeah, Roger Rogers was kind of technically framed, but really, the framing was taken, it was really pinned on Tyler, of course, because, technically they used Tyler, yeah. So Randall had stolen a key, because Fritz mentioning about a key, and it was discovered because a key to, the storage of laugh canisters and so on, and all the other things that Randall was doing, like spray painting on the walls, as we saw in episode 8, and, mentioning about the leaked laugh canisters to Jack and Jill, and all this other stuff, and also with the Scream amplifier, Randall doing this all along. It was Randall all along, and also from breaking the framed portrait of Boo's drawing to, making the glove mitt that Mike Wazowski had, gooey and icky, just to, because how Randall despises, well, not just Sully, but Mike as well. So, yeah, just doing that for, be mean and so on, yeah, and his despisement for those two. But anyways, so yeah, and of course, Randall placing all that stuff in Tyler's locker, and what would happen in episode 8, And again, they pinned this on Tyler by using Tyler and so on, although Johnny says to Tyler that he believed in him and so on, but yeah. And to make matters even more worse, Merc, I'm sure you guys would recall Merc, they show up at Monsters Incorporated, and basically they close off Monsters Incorporated because, well, again, they are pinned. This is on them. They are blamed for the blackout and so on. And Mike and Sully are being taken into Merc headquarters, and they are, kind of confronted by Roz. Although, Roz actually has them take their time writing some paperwork because she gives them a wink. Because, you know what? It's nice to see for once that Roz is actually being nice to them and trying to help them out. Because Roz is suspecting something, and she wants them to take their time, and, well, there's got to be something to this, and what Roz knows. And as for Tyler, well, because he can't believe what he's gotten into, and he tries to make things right, and, well, he goes back to Monsters Incorporated, and he informs his, temporarily ex-friends, basically, about Randall Boggs returning and what Randall and Johnny are doing, and with the laugh canisters, everything, just giving them all the information. But they're still, especially for Val, just, how can they be immediately fine with Tyler and so on, And also, I didn't talk about Cutter and Sonny that much because, them discovering the problems and technical difficulties with the laugh canisters and the power being produced, and when they find out, because it was Randall and messing things up, well, a little slowly but surely, they were starting to reconnect. And, well, this is where they officially do. And, and for the first time ever, we see two female monsters kissing. Again, the first time ever in Monsters Incorporated, we see lesbian monsters. I'm just saying. But it's true, so yeah. So, even like some of the, I think from like Tyler and Duncan, they're just like, get a room. So now, because they all work together, and, because, in order to get into Fearco, well, how Tyler made it into Monsters Incorporated because, well, by that point, Merc had closed off Monsters Incorporated, just putting the tape and such, taking every joke prop from the monsters, everything. Well, yeah, because he made his way through that, door station in the evil laboratory and down in the, bowels of Fearco, so they have to make their way through there, and some of them in disguises, like Tyler and Val are in this disguise with a trench coat, and they even put, labels of Fearco on their work helmets. And as for Fritz, well, he doesn't need a disguise, because to him, he's acting. He's Fernando Rigatoni. I think I'm saying the first name right. Yeah, Rigatoni. Just, God, Fritz. Again, Fritz is such a good character. He really is. And again, being voiced by the one and only Henry Winkler. How can you not love Henry Winkler? Fonzie, just, yeah, but anyways. So them proceeding on and trying to basically restore power and to take back what was rightfully theirs and such, and by, trying to plug in a specific cord and such, and even when, at one point, Duncan pretends to be Declan, Tyler recommending that to Duncan and just, drawing, a mustache and goatee, and, even, say, Skylar, he had to go to the bathroom at one point, but Declan told him not to, but Duncan, disguised as Declan, let Skylar proceed on, so, yeah. And even a moment between Joy and Fritz, because Joy is wondering who, Fritz is, and, well, Fritz acting and being Rigatoni, just, yeah, it's pretty funny. And with that going on, because, well, with Mike and Sully, because more with them, still, them taking their time writing the paperwork and such, and even interacting a little bit with the security guard that's, right at the door, and so on. And, yeah, so as our Mifters proceed to try to restore the power and so on, yeah, and, a couple of moments we see with Johnny and Randall Boggs, and, yeah, of course, Randall does not disappoint in this, of course, and especially when the climax happens where, yeah, Randall trying to stop the Mifters, and they're kind of not able to stop Randall because he's kind of unstoppable, well, especially since, he can camouflage, he can turn invisible, although some of the Mifters at a certain point having a great idea in order to see Randall and defeat him by making him, by, pouring something on him and stuff like that, and, in the end, they succeed, defeating Randall, but also the news people, especially Jack and Jill from I Scream, You Scream, are there because, well, with the Scream amplifier, a red button is about to be pushed, and Johnny was about to push it, Tyler being there along with Val, and is Johnny not concerned and not suspicious of Val's presence? Oh, well, just probably not, so doesn't really suspect anything. But stupid Johnny, of course, being a dumb villain. So, it's about to happen, it's just really getting intense, and he's about to press the button, but Tyler quick enough to stop him, and yeah, and at the same time, down in the, bowels of Fearco, them trying to stop Randall, and, well, Randall trying to stop them from plugging a specific cord, and, well, they succeed, because Randall gets electrocuted because, well, one of them grabbed his tail, and yeah, and thus, power is restored, and, well, and to speed things up still, because, Fearco has been exposed. Johnny Worthington has been exposed. And same goes for Randall. Well, and it was not just thanks to the Mifters, Tyler, and Val. Not to mention, Val had a device, tracking and stuff like that. But also, Chet was also responsible for stopping Fearco and exposing Johnny Worthington and so on. Yeah. Well, because poor Chet, as I mentioned, Chet being treated badly and so on, and it was at just, it was at that moment where he just, it snapped in him that, what, I'm not taking this anymore, and thus he rightfully so betrays Johnny and does the right thing, and yeah, so, and Roz, of course, being there, and she knew something, and well, because with the help of the Mifters and Chet, they got their information, and now they know the truth, and Roz confronting Johnny and telling Johnny that we're always watching. That growl that she does, pretty funny. Well, and thus, Johnny is defeated once and for all, as well as Randall. And, well, the aftermath of this, everything is back to normal. Monsters Incorporated now is back and running in business, and with Laugh Power and Fear.Co. Well, because I mean, technically, like, Fear.Co. probably not really shut down, but still, we do see that on the news. Johnny is sharing a cell with Henry J. Waternoose, and Randall, well, he did get arrested, but he escaped. Yeah, so he's at large, and Roz reporting this, you know, at a press, and Duncan showing up, and Roz telling everybody that he is not associated with us. God. So, yeah. So, everything's looking good now for them, but that is until, at one point, Val has Tyler tag along with her to meet with Ben, trying to patch things up and mend things between each of them, and after Ben got terrified of Tyler, and things start to look pretty good, and the talk that they have, and yeah, and this is also being recorded on camera for the news, and all of the monsters watching this on television can see that Val and Tyler are making a human boy laugh, and they can finally see now that laugh power is the answer. Yeah. From Tyler's family to, you know, some of those from C.R.E.E.P and, even, oh, yeah, because, like, even, you know, pretty much most of the characters that we had seen all throughout, Season 2, you know, make an appearance. Even Alistair Clawbottom, he now sees that laugh power is really good, and even Stubby Lizardo is watching this, and he's proud of Tyler. He even gets teary-eyed. Wow, that's saying something for sure. Yeah, so, and the epilogue, the last sequence of this episode, well, for the first time ever, Tyler and Val become the first ever jokester, you know, duo, you know, partners and such. For the first time ever. Yeah, that's cool to see. Making history in the monster world and in, you know, for Monsters Incorporated, for sure. So again, they become an official laugh partners, and yeah. And of course, with donuts and all that, and everybody there congratulating them, and that being their official first day, we see most of the entire cast from the Mifters, Celia, Mike, and Sully, and yeah, wishing them the best of luck, and, you know, as they enter the door and, you know, making a kid laugh and so on, that was a great way to end off the episode right there. Yeah. Holy cow, just Season 2 of Monsters at Work did not disappoint. This was probably by far one of the best seasons for Monsters at Work. Again, because for me personally, I enjoyed Season 1. I don't think Season 1 was not that bad, as I stated early on. I really enjoyed Season 1, and, yeah, I mean, because it was the first season. I mean, it had just begun, but by Season 2, this is where things got really good and better, and where we finally see, you know, the Monsters, Inc. franchise continuing after Monsters Incorporated, the movie itself. Yeah, because again, Season 1 took place smack down the middle before the movie ended, you know, before the epilogue and Sully being reunited with Boo, and from there on with Season 2. All 10 episodes for Season 2, they did not disappoint. You know, with the stories and what's going on with the characters, further development on some of the characters, some returning faces from Johnny Worthington, from Claire, Chet, some new monsters, which they were pretty cool. The casting and whom else got to be a part of Monsters at Work, from Kurt Woodsmith, Corey Burton, Aubrey Plaza, Nathan Fillion, and, of course, Steve Buscemi reprising the voice role of Randall Boggs. Yep, and that being saved the best for last. And, with the emotional stuff, the hilarious stuff, some good storytelling, and just what goes on with the characters, and from each episode, and the fact that we get to see more of Monstropolis and the monsters world, getting to see Fearco itself visually, and all the creative stuff that was put into Season 2, just fantastic. Yeah. Just what more do I have to say? Season 2, it was fantastic. And 10 out of 10, without a doubt. 10 out of 10 stars for Season 2. Again, I really enjoyed it. It did not disappoint, and I'm sure the same goes for you guys. And yeah, what about you guys? What did you think of Season 2 itself? Do you think it turned out to be a really fantastic season? Do some of you prefer this more than Season 1? I'm sure some of you, like me, liked and enjoyed Season 1. Come on, I can't be, there's no doubt that I'd be the only one. What was your favorite episode from Season 2? What were your favorite moments, from the hilarious moments, the emotional moments, the characters, and whom came back? Were you surprised at the returning appearance of Randall Boggs, the climax, and all the stuff that was going on in all the episodes, and, and how did you guys feel? I'm pretty sure because you'd feel the same way as I do, because that for some strange reason, this came out on Disney Channel first and not Disney Plus. How did you feel on that? Because don't get me wrong, as I said early on, why? I don't get it. If there is an answer to this, I don't know. And if you guys know, again, let me know in the comments section. Do you think the animation quality to Season 2 was good? I mean, again, from what I've heard, but overall, to me, I had no problem with the animation to Season 2, and I'm sure some of you didn't either. Yeah, but just overall, what did you think of Season 2 itself, and with what I've had to say, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Season 2 of Monsters at Work. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. Take care, and until Season 3, peace out.